Hello, hello, hello. We are getting started. Give us just a couple minutes and we're going live at RFD Talk. Thank you. Had to set up. Mr. H, where I'm putting this at?
Hmm?
I don't know where exactly putting this at. That's
Where's
She's
your-
in the green room. So our guest tonight, welcome to the RFD Talk. We're having a guest Zoom.
You need to plug this into
Oh,
you.
yes. Let me plug this in. Here we go, guys. How are you doing this evening? Happy Memorial Day. We are live here. Uh-oh. And my guest is in the blue room. So give me just a second. We're going to get started here. Happy Monday. Yay. Thank you, Mr. H. I meant to grab you. Welcome, good evening, beautiful people. Welcome to RFD Talk. I am your host, Robin F. David, and some of you call me RFD. Hello, happy Memorial Day to you, beautiful people. I am super elated. I'm hoping that your family is gathering, and I'm hoping that you're relaxing, whatever you're doing on this Memorial Day. I want to thank those who have served our country. We appreciate you if you served our country. We appreciate you and we hope that you and your family are doing well. It is another great day at RFD Talk and I am elated. Our topic tonight, we can't wait to get to our topic. We have our amazing guest. She's in the green room. And we're going to be talking about tonight from brokenness to mental and spiritual recovery. And it's going to be fun and interesting learning what this topic is going to bring us tonight, listeners. So get your comments ready. Get ready to call in here at 615-227-1470, where we can answer your questions live tonight. If you're a replay, we love for you to leave your comments. It does help us grow our conversation and deepen our conversation because we need to know what you're thinking, and we're here to service you and help you in your relationships. So with no further ado, I want to thank all of my listeners, and I'm again want to say happy holiday to everyone. So be safe if you're driving, and if you're at home, just tune on in and ride with us here at RFD Talk. So one of our sponsors I want to shout out is Shave Me Down. Shave Me Down. It's handmade body butter. It's one of my favorite body butters, and you can order your own fragrance. You can go to email. You can email Shave Me Down at shavemedown06 at gmail.com, or you can also find Shave Me Down on Facebook. There is a Facebook page, Shave Me Down, and we want to thank them. Then also want to mention one of our other supporters, and we want to shout them out, which is Majestic Elegance and Candles and Company, which is a soy company. It's a wick. It's a soy wick company, and all the candles are so relaxing. They're invigorating, and they smell so yummy. So you definitely check out the website at livemajestic.com, and you'll see all the fragrances there. And I want to thank all of my Facebook listeners. I want to thank all of my YouTube subscribers. And if you think that someone would like to find out more about the RFD Talk program, just share this page and invite them to come on. And if you think that you might would like to be a guest on the RFD Talk show, you can inbox me and email me at robinfdavid@gmail.com. And what we do here on the RFD Talk show, we bring simple understanding to complicated situations, taking the hard work out of self-love and relationships, self-care, personal development, personal leadership, all those things, confidence, and it help you develop personal growth. So you will see a lot of our speakers are inspirational speakers from all over the country. I'm so honored to have people Skype in, and that's one thing about radio and podcasting. It's fun because you can meet people from all different walks of life and that can come on and service us and teach us about loving ourselves and being our best version of ourselves. One of my segments, really quick before we get to our amazing guest who's in the green room, we always talk about what did the Lord say to RFD. This is Monday evening, and I was like, Father, it's Memorial Day, and I'm here in the greater Nashville, and you feel some kind of way in holidays. I remember moving down, really quick story, what did the Lord say to RFD? It makes me want to think about, this is the holiday, and about 2005, 6, I moved here about 15 years ago, and this holiday is just really one of those holidays that I was like, Father, it's you and I in the world, right? So it just reminds me of the power of really loving yourself, and, your holidays changes after your kids grow up and you don't have to get. I miss doing the cooking out. So if you're cooking out, I miss cooking out with my children and my mother. Them, I want to shout them out. I FaceTime them and they all hanging out and cooking out. So if you're doing that, that's what this type of holiday reminds me of. And it reminds me that you also have to learn how to self-love and find some fun stuff to do for yourself. So if you are not with your family, remember that the Lord said, be true to who you are. That's what he said to me today. He was like, just be true to who you are. So I want my listeners to know that, it's okay to be true to who you are. Create some newness on this holiday. Maybe you just walk to the park like I did with my doggie. Me and my dog went out to the park and sat out and got some sunbathing. So you have to create new friends and new activities. So that's what the Lord says. So with no further ado, we're gonna get started because we want to get everything we can possibly get from this listener. I'm gonna let her introduce herself. So let's bring her right in from the green room. Welcome, Coach. Thank you, Coach Portia. Welcome to RFD Talk. Let me tell our listeners, this is a delightful interview. I am so honored to have you. You are not only one of the TikTok viral friends that I know, but TikTok viral friend. Like besides you being here on the show and sharing your triumphant story, I knew of you, outside of here. I met you as a young lady evolving and becoming and blossoming into the butterfly that you are now.
Yeah.
So happy to have you. Thank you for saying yes to our listeners. I know that someone here today on the RFD Talk Show will find a nugget to move through and grow through from your story. So tell us who you are, Coach Portia. Tell everybody, all the listeners, who you are and a little bit about your background.
Oh, well, my name is Portia Moore Rossman. A little bit about my background. I just like to say that I'm an entrepreneur because, like, or creative mostly because I kind of dabble in all things. I am a self-love and life coach. I also work in the healthcare field. And then I have other businesses like a boutique and such like that. But I'm really, if I could describe me like shortly, it'd just be my motto in life is when people encounter me, I hope that they leave knowing that there is a God. So,
Oh, yes, your motto in life. I like that. Yes. So we know you a little bit that you just shared of us that you are gifted. You said you're a creator. You're a creator.
hmm
Uh-huh. So you have several streams of income that your business allow you to do. That's what you just shared with us, and that
uh-huh.
you're definitely alike. But also for some of the listeners who may not know, tell us a little bit about what does it mean to have. Let's just get out in this from brokenness to spiritual recovery. One of the questions, of course, all the listeners who may know of a little bit about you, can you tell us what it felt like, your story going viral, and do you want to start there with this brokenness to mental to? Can you tell that what went viral? Some of the listeners are like, what went viral?
So last year, it's been almost 10 months now, August 8th of last year, when I returned from Las Vegas, I entered into my apartment that my then husband and I shared together, and it was completely empty. So he left me while I was in Vegas, kind of doing some work, paparazzi convention. So I came home like this, to the surprise of my life, and I decided to share that. I believe the video was 15 seconds, a 15-second video on my TikTok page. At that time, I only had 100 followers. But I shared it because it was like, well, I guess I need to go ahead and burn this bridge, because he sent the message loud and clear that he does not want me. Um, and I think that was probably the beginning of my healing process, but it was also the beginning of like a lot of judgment. Like you said, the story went viral. I woke up the next morning and I had like 22,000 comments or something like that. And I was like, this isn't right. I only have 100 people on the page. So this isn't right. And I'm one of those people that absorbs energy. And I made the mistake of reading through every comment, and I should not have done that. So it became overwhelming really fast. But there was a lot of judgment, a lot of what did you do? Like, it was your fault, like type of thing. And I learned very quickly that, people just kind of pass judgment without knowing anything at all.
Wow. So you read, did I hear you correctly? You went from 100 people on your TikTok to 22,000 the next morning. Did I hear the numbers correctly?
Well,
And
22,000 comments the next morning. And then the followers grew to, I have like 24,000 followers now.
wow. And you absorbed all of that and you realized that this was going to be a can that you've opened, starting your healing journey, but also helped a lot of other women who, in this time that we're living in, from what we've been through, we've been exposed to a lot of breakups, all different types of breakups, because due to our pandemic and the COVID, if I should say, it kind of put the light on relationships, I think, and put relationships through the pressure of, are we going to be together? Or are we going to be broken?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Since you're a love coach, a self-care love coach, a love coach, what do you think about what happened in that time of the season when you were out of town? Did you notice a lot of people were saying, hey, I'm glad you shared this, or you had more people like saying that they seen something wrong with you?
I think it was like 70-30 of like people like being supportive, and then people who were like passing judgment. But the scary thing is a lot of women have gone through this very thing, and I've had a lot of women like share their story with me, that they've been through something similar, or like they witnessed something similar with their mom as children. And like there was comforting, but it was also really sad that a lot of us have to go through something like that. I kind of always like during the situation, I was like, man, I wasn't even worth the conversation. Like he could at least left a letter. So I was really hurt like going through it. But there's always happiness on the other side of pain.
Wow. So tell us more what our listeners will learn from brokenness to mental recovery. How do you help people identify if they're in brokenness? Share more around that. That's what I'm wanting to get to. I know that probably was painful, not getting, not getting, feeling like you didn't deserve a conversation. Yes, you'll find that there are similar stories, because I feel like that is similar to a story that I know as well. But sometimes people leave and leave the clothes there. So let's say that, like, what I'm saying, they leave their clothes there, but they leave. So I feel like your story is so relevant in the time that we're in, to learning what it means to self-love and to go through such a public experience, that you were willing and you were vulnerable enough to just go to your phone and be like, this is happening with me right now. You
Hmm.
invited the whole world in, and so many people was in that pain. You know what I'm saying? We're so connected. So tell me
Hmm.
about what it means to go from brokenness to mental and spiritual. What does that look like as a coach?
So, but the first thing that I did, every coach needs a coach, every therapist needs a therapist. So the very first thing I did was actually go to therapy. I don't share it a lot, but I do share it sometimes. Like I've suffered with like suicidal thoughts in the past. I've also tried to commit suicide in the past. So I recognized really early that I wanted to get into therapy and start the healing process and to grow as much as I could from this situation, identify areas that I needed to grow in. It was very, very important to me. So I went to therapy right away. I'm still am currently in therapy. I go 4 times a month, once a week. And it has been very helpful in identifying areas that I needed to heal, even from childhood. I spent a lot of my life, and I think a lot of us do, like brokenhearted over things that happened from when we were a child, and we just never healed from it. And I know you can identify, like being a Black woman, we're just kind of told keep pushing, keep going forward, and that's kind of what I learned to do. And this time I didn't want it to be that. I wanted to actually go through therapy and actually do the hard work of healing. And that meant identifying things that I didn't necessarily like about myself and areas that I need to grow in personally.
Wow, that takes a lot of courage. Because I feel like you said, you mentioned to our listeners that being a Black woman, we tend to, if we go back to our ancestors, sometimes they speak to me. I always say I have this little relationship with my ancestors. And she's like, I had that baby and I had to go back on that field. And we didn't get to time to really grieve or anyone to kind of coach us through that or give us therapy through that. Like you had the baby, you back on the field picking the cotton, or you're back out there as as we as mothers do, we tend to take on all of that, or women take on a lot of titles just to keep the house going. And so yeah, so good for you. I'm so glad that you are still aware that there's always layers to pulling back that onion. Myself knows as a healing consultant that you will always peel back the onions, and there's layers. It just doesn't happen overnight
Yeah.
to be just this total, like, I'm so healed, right? But you are healed, but you still know that there may be some things that, and so when you find the triggers, what do you tell our people that, like, once you start therapy and you're on the healing journey, what is that brokenness to mental recovery and spiritual recovery looks like?
It's funny because I just finished therapy like a little over an hour ago today, and we were talking about triggers. And I am a codependent, so I have codependency. And it looks like identifying when those triggers come up, or when I'm trying to self-sabotage in relationships, because I am in a new relationship now. And like I'll have those moments where I'm like, I should just start to mess because things are going too great right now. And it's like I have to reprogram myself, because it's like you're deserving of things being good and things being happy. You don't have to survive, you can thrive.
Mhm.
So it looks like me kind of catching myself and giving myself permission to be happy and and to thrive and to not live in chaos. I've done that for so long, but it does look like me constantly reminding myself, or like when it comes up, like don't do that. Whatever the negative is, think of the positive. So if I'm thinking that I'm not important or that I'm not worthy of love, then the positive of that is I am important and I am worthy of love. And are my actions in line with me being important and me being worthy of love?
Oh, I love the way you share that, and that is absolutely true. The old person would say that to yourself, will be like, oh, I don't deserve this. And it's interesting that you mentioned codependency, because I had to identify that. So you're like it's interesting to me because you're like the kindred sister. Like, I know of you as a daughter, but you're like a kindred daughter. When I think of the steps that I have to do as a healing consultant each day, I have to remind myself it's okay to be happy. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You know, because once you experience just surviving in life, and that's, you feel like you're supposed to be depressed, or you got to find a reason to not be so happy, or no, somebody can't really love you, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
that's interesting. So wonderful. So tell me more about your story as you are still um, helping women as well. What did you find the most women need to focus on when we are in this brokenness place, a mental broken place?
Giving ourselves permission to live out loud. I work with a lot of different women from a lot of different backgrounds, but I find that especially within our community, especially within the Black community, we have to give ourselves permission to live out loud because we live in this world where our voices have been kind of silence for so long, and we haven't necessarily been given the permission, especially not from like outside sources, to like live in our greatness and walk in our fullness and be completely happy. And I found that a lot of women need permission, like to do that, and you need permission from yourself to do that. Like it's already in you, but a lot of us need to discover that and like truly live in that. And it's hard work, especially when you're used to kind of living within this box, like your entire lives. We have to unlearn the things that we needed to do, needed to say, needed to be when we were in survival mode and, be the highest version of ourselves and just, be happy and thrive.
Wow, I love the word. It keeps resonating with me. You use the word thrive.
Yeah.
I love the word thrive. I'm a founder of Gone Foundation. I have to bring that to you. So my intention is within the next year, Lord willing, with the support of my board and creating support with that, I have this intention. It's not just to have a survivor party for the victims of gun violence, but it's the thriving families because that's
Mhm.
a choice. We have a choice. I think we, for so long, especially, and not too many of my other listeners that may be watching, listening, but we identify being Black women, that we've been surviving way too many years now.
Yeah.
And survival has gotten us this disconnection with love of self and trusting self with the love, that we should be happy and we deserve happiness. And I understand being codependent because then you're just looking for someone to validate you from the outside.
Hmm.
Like, do you love me? Do you still love me? Can you love me? And but no, giving yourself the permission to say, I love you. I love you and all of you, right?
Hmm.
So tell us a little bit more. Um, what days, how many days in the beginning of your brokenness is it okay to stay, crying and having those fits? And when did you decide that you need a therapist? How long did it take you after you had this viral TikTok hit the world and everybody knows your business? And when did you decide what I mean by your personal business that you
Yeah.
share? And that it's okay because it's a part of your healing journey. And I think that's the biggest thing. The more transparent we are to the world, most people love authentic people and true stories. I'm a big
Hmm.
fan based on true stories or true stories. I'm a big fan of those. So so when did you decide the therapy? How long did it take you before you got to that point where you could? Was it 2 months later? How long did you stay in maybe a pity party moment?
As far as like the pity party, so I take
You
I
might have
took
didn't have
2 days.
one. Okay,
Huh?
because you might have didn't have one, so you might
Yeah,
have
I
had a couple.
did. I
Okay.
had 2 days where I did absolutely nothing but probably read comments, reply to comments, cry. I had also I had COVID around that time too. So I just kind of like laid in here on my friend's couch and just felt sorry for Portia. I gave myself permission to feel sorry for me. I probably recorded a video, just kind of talking about the totality of the situation. Um, and after that, I found a therapist. I decided I wanted a Black female therapist. I've gone through several different therapists, but this time I wanted a Black female therapist. I found my therapist within like I want to say like a week and a half, and I filed for divorce in that time as well. I was like, okay, so this looks like me moving on. I have to move on in my life. And sporadically days would come up where I would cry my eyes out. I can be completely transparent and tell you there were parts of me that was still kind of waiting around on my ex-husband. I was like, he's gonna fix things, he's gonna come back, like we're gonna work things out. We did have a few conversations, like via text, like after things like kind of settled, and he was like, well, I'll take you back. It doesn't matter, like, what people think or what people say, I'll take you back. And I just had to remind myself to keep putting one foot in front of the other, because it's like, well, if you did it this way this time and I come back, things could probably gonna be worse next time. So I just had to give myself permission to keep moving forward. A lot of me was really afraid. Like, I've known my ex since I was 9, and we have been together on and off since I was 15. So I don't know life without him, really. And it was terrifying, thinking that I have to start over with somebody. I got to get to know somebody again. You mean to tell me I got to date? I don't want to do none of this. Like, but therapy would happen like right away, because I knew I didn't want to be bitter. I knew I didn't want to be, sad for long. And I also knew that I wanted to figure out whatever it was that made me stay in this situation as long as I did. I needed to address that and start the healing process so that I would not do that again.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. We're going to take a quick break here, RFD Talk, and we'll be right back with the second part of the show. Thank you.
Old way of living with diabetes is a pain. You've got to remember to do your testing. Way to live your life with diabetes is with a continuous glucose.
Taking a quick break. Have a commercial going. Thank you. I'm like, tell us more. I'll be back. How you tell the viewers we are on a commercial break?
Using insulin pump might be eligible for a CGM through your insurance benefits. U.S. Med partners with over 500 insurance companies and Medicare. We offer free shipping, 90-day supplies, and we bill your insurance. Call us today for a free benefits check. 800-584-2519. 800-584-2519. 800-584-2519. That's 800-584-2519.
Hey travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unlimited seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to bundle online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip, or treat yourself to dinner, or shopping. So stop searching all of these travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
901-424-5274. 901-424-5274. That's 901-424-5274.
Welcome back to RFD Talk. I'm your host, Robin F. David, and we're here with Coach. What do you call yourself? Tell us. Cole.
P-O.
Cup of Love Coaching. So tell us a little bit about what brought you to this profession as a love coach, as a self-love coach. Tell us more about, after you had that experience, you shared with our viewers, you went to therapy, and now life is unfolding one step at a time. I love that. I want the listeners to know that. I want to say that's the thing they should take away from that. You did one step at a time. Now we bring you here as a professional self-love coach. Tell us how you decided to take on this calling. I feel like it's a calling for you.
Yeah, I definitely so I started the self-love coach certification because I knew that I needed to do a lot of healing and I needed to learn how to love myself. So I decided to do the work. A lot of the certification is actually doing the work for yourself. That way you can become the best version of yourself. I can't help you if I haven't done the work myself. So I definitely decided to like kind of dive nose first into that, because I knew there was a lot of healing that I needed to do and a lot of tools that I needed to learn. So that kind of led me to this. I actually started it prior to my divorce, because I could just feel that there was something broken and something just that needed to be healed. And I got tired of being sad all the time. I got tired of like hiding like all the time, hiding the truth all the time. I was sharing so many beautiful Facebook posts and these beautiful pictures of us, and like there's this beautiful facade of us as a couple, and it was not true at all. I was depressed every single day. I was crying every single day. Um, I was wondering why he didn't love me every single day. But the more important question was, Portia, why don't you love yourself?
Oh, I have to come in there, comment on that just a second if you let me jump in on that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Did you hear that, listeners? Sometimes we see posts and pictures, and remember, you remind me of the, I said before, we are kindred sisters, right? You're like a kindred sister to me. And you mentioned that the pictures on Facebook and Instagram, and I remember all your beautiful pictures, and I remember that gorgeous wedding,
Mm-hmm.
and we see that, we see people post up pictures, but you remind me so much of me because it's like I remember living that, right? You know, walking around with my ring on my finger, just being this doting wife, and really I believed that I was happy. But when I would go behind, get home, and you was feeling that I really ain't happy at home. It's not really everything, I think a marriage should be, right? So
Mm-hmm.
tell people what, how much happier you feel now that you're not living in that little lie that you post every day. And some of us do still post this
Mm-hmm.
false picture of happiness. How do you feel now that you really acknowledge and recognize that you are doing that?
A part of me would get a little sad. It's like, oh man, I was just kind of like living this facade, like, for the world. But now that I'm out of the situation and actually experiencing happiness in my life right now, I don't know, you just realize like I never have to go back to that place where I'm pretending. I mean, I was writing the most beautiful post, man. I'm talking about I was looking back at some, I'd be like, girl, you was wording there. That was very good, but it was all a lie. And it's not to say we didn't have some good moments, because we absolutely did. But for both of us, it was a toxic situation, and I hope that he's happier. I don't know, we don't have any contact anymore, but I'm definitely in a happier place, and it feels good, and it definitely solidifies the fact that I will never go back to pretending it ever again, because you are absolutely worthy of happiness, like full happiness, not just Facebook happiness, not just Instagram happiness. Like happiness in real life is so much better. It's so much better.
I love it, Portia. I love it, baby. I mean, I call you that because I think of you as a daughter. And I just think that you're an amazing young woman. And I'm so proud of you that you're willing to share what it means to go from brokenness to mental, spiritual recovery. I love the title. You want to tell us why you chose that title tonight for our listeners? What you want them to take home from brokenness, mentalness, and turning it around to spiritual recovery? What would you want them to take from that?
No matter where you are in your life right now, like, man, you can get to a place of happiness, of joy, spiritual growth, spiritual recovery. It's going to take some time, but as you mentioned, one step at a time. Like the way you eat an elephant is one bite at a time, and it may not look like it right now, and things may be gloomy right now, and you're dreading waking up, but just keep doing it. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. Like 10 months ago, you couldn't have told me that I would be sitting here talking to you right now and feeling this much joy in my heart, because 10 months ago, I was like, I'm going to go ahead and end it all. Like, I'm just going to be done. Like, because life is not worth living without him. Oh, boy. But God, he was like, girl, quit playing. So
Yeah, I know God will remind you that He has so much bigger and greater and healthier friendships, in your toxin self. We have our toxin self before we go to therapy, before we have the coaching, before we let go and surrender to the true who we are and the love that we deserve. You do wake up like that, like, wow, God is so good and His love is just so wonderful, right? But then what I would say was, you just know that you don't have to go there anymore. And that's the really thing I want the listeners to know, that you don't have to live in that place, right?
Mhm.
And you mentioned, I was trying to get to, I just remember my thought. You mentioned that you all were so young together. This was a very long relationship. So you were not really, you were so young enough that you really didn't identify who you really are and what you really needed in a relationship. Is
Mhm.
what it's like. Because I think for me as well, I married my high school um, relationship. And so I think when you're young and you get married, sometimes if you're still not sure of who you are and what love really looked like from the beginning, from your home base and your home
Mhm.
experience, if you don't get that, see a healthy relationship and really understand that, it just spills off into your life and you kind of hold on to it because it's comfortable, right?
Mhm.
It's comfortable to stay in that young toxin relationship. I was telling my mom, I was like, Mom, that was the young toxin me. I didn't even have boundaries when I was
Yep.
younger. I made choices that I'm not so proud of now, but I've made those choices well. And so I was like, Mom, the new me have healthy, fun friends. You know what I'm saying? We are
Mhm.
like minded. We're not doing that crazy stuff.
Mhm.
Wonderful. So tell us a little bit more about what your program. You have any programs that you offer women, or how women get in contact with you? What are you um, doing to help others, and how does your program help others? You want to elaborate on that a little bit?
So I do have a website, cupoflovecourses.com. And it has a lot of like self-paced course, as well as you can book a one-on-one with me. And that just kind of looks like us designing a program for where you are in your life right now, because everybody has different needs. I have some clients who want to focus on, femininity and growing in their relationship and being softer. I have some clients who want to focus on, personal growth as far as it pertains to like their relationship with others. So we design a plan that's around, you, what you need, and we just go from there.
Awesome, awesome. And so you have, what platforms do you want to send people to again?
So the website is cupoflovecourses.com.
Okay.
And then of course you have my Instagram there. My TikTok is the same, Cup of Love 7, and Facebook is the same at Cup of Love 7.
Oh, this is awesome. So when you go from brokenness in mental wellness, did you figure out that there was something mentally deeper than just on the surface of just like, oh, I'm just going to go on and get another relationship? But you realize that there was something deeper that you needed to identify? Is that part of your growing process?
Yeah, so I did mention like I am in a relationship now. It took me almost 10 months to get there though. But like through therapy, I was able to identify codependency for me, which means that I need to be able to state clear boundaries for myself and
Okay.
like stick to that, because I didn't have any boundaries. Like wherever he wanted the wind to go, which I would just go. If he wanted me to change this about myself, I'll change it. And now I'm standing firm. I'm learning who I am, and I've learned and rediscovered things about myself that I absolutely love. And it looks like setting like clear intentions for myself, clear intentions for the relationship that I'm in, clear boundaries. These boundaries are not to be crossed, and if they are, then I'm done. And the guy that I'm seeing now, we've been able to do that from the very, very beginning. Like, I was like, if I'm gonna scare him off, I'm gonna do it immediately. So I'm gonna tell him everything. and, and I told him everything. And we have similar backgrounds. We've both been married before. But like our intentions for each other were very, very clear from the beginning. and we've been able to build a friendship and just be open and honest with each other. And I've never experienced anything like this where I can be 100% myself, and like there's nothing wrong with just being myself. Like, and that feels really good.
Yes. And so for some of our listeners, that's great. Congratulations on your new relationship. It
Thank you.
sounds wonderful, sounds healthy. It brings a beautiful smile to your face.
Thank you.
How you at? So I think it's going well. Uh, for the listeners that can't see her, she's on YouTube and Facebook. If you like to do replay, you can also see her gorgeous face here. Radio listeners, we appreciate you. If you want to tune in and see the visual. But yes, I definitely know that that's important to be willing to know that what's the intentions in a relationship. Do a lot of people know when they get in relationships how to create intentions, or how do people know if they're codependent, or how to create these intentions in a relationship? Do you normally tell
Um,
people what to look for?
Yeah, I mean, I know for myself, it looked like me writing a list. And I think people find it easier to write what they don't want than what they do want. So you can start with what you don't want, but then figure out what you actually do want. And I don't think a lot of us focus on what we do want, because even when you ask people, so what do you want? They'll list off everything they don't like about a person or everything they don't want in a mate. So what do you want? And I think that's the most important question to ask yourself. And I also feel like as women, we tend to kind of just go with the flow because we're told if we ask too many questions initially, we'll scare them off. That's okay, scare him off. That means he wasn't meant to be there. Like, ask the questions that you need to know answers to.
What? That is so good, girl. Because I'm telling you, you are right on time for me. I'm telling you, 2022 is our year.
It is.
2022 is our year. I'm telling you right now, for us women who have been codependent and in unhealthy relationships, I'm saying brokenness to mental, spiritual recovery is vital. It's so vital because we want to create stronger, healthy Black families and generations to come. And we
Mm-hmm.
can have this conversation a lot more because I feel like some of us think it's just hot girl summer and just,
Mm-hmm.
and getting out cute and not really understand what are you getting out, are you getting cute because you love yourself and you're respecting yourself and creating these boundaries and you're aware of what you deserve, or you just getting cute because it's hot outside.
Yeah.
we need to teach, we need to each one teach one about this because I feel like if someone could have broke this stuff down to me, being young, getting married, going through that, so, going through the stereotype of ways that we get into relationships, not really knowing what to expect and how to be securely happy and stop putting on for other people. Because that's the thing, we get caught in these. Well, I feel like a lot of people are like that too, entrapped in marriages and relationships
Mm-hmm.
just to show up on Instagram and places like I really have this. I have this full image. I think
Mm-hmm.
some of us Blacks especially try to make that, hey, that, and it's not real. So I appreciate your story. What else would you like to share with us, amazing ladies? They said some good stuff. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I will tell you, definitely do the work on self first, but also I'm not one of those people who believe that we don't need anybody like at all. Like eventually, like you need someone like in your life that's gonna love you for you though. But that's the important part. Like not to put on, like you said, a show for anybody else. Like something that's genuine and that truly makes you happy, and that person like really knows like who you are, because there are benefits to all of us. There's beauty in all of us, but we do have to do the work ourselves, like to really figure out what's going on internally and why we accept certain things. And then we can get to a better place of like setting boundaries and having healthy relationships. Because as you mentioned, like marriage and love and relationships, like those are vital points in the life too, but it starts with self. And I had to really learn that like there's some stuff that I need to fix, and I'm glad I'm fixing it.
I love the key word you said, the work, doing the work. I remember when I first started the journey as a healing consultant and understanding who I am better today. That whole thing is doing the work, right? I tell people you have to do the work. We have, yes, the Most High, we do pray, but there's work required.
Yes.
It's before us, but He requires the work. And I think sometimes as Christians, and some of us are Christians, and may not be Christians, and that is fine as well. But you got to do the work. And I think for us, we sometimes like, it's just the prayers going to change things and make things. I love how keep reiterating, and it starts with you. The change that we want to see, the healing that we need, the relationship that we want to create. It all starts with you doing the work. And you have done the work, Coach Portia. You have done the work. You're glowing. You're shining,
Mhm.
and I'm just so honored to know you and watch you grow into this butterfly and helping other women identify those important things and intentional things in life. Because I know it's a lot of us out there, a lot of us kinder sisters
Mhm.
been on this journey and been unhappy and miserable and that's just not the life that divinely we're called to.
Yeah.
Like you said, we're great people. We all have value, and sometimes we lose that value in some of those unhealthy friendships and relationships. We hold on too long, and we find we lose our value in those places. And we always got to remember who we are, not what others have helped us lose that value in. So thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that today. It's so cool. It's so
You're
great to
welcome.
have you. So tell us any other things that you would like for the listeners to find out. We have about 10 more minutes with you. So what else does it mean to you and our listeners that maybe still listen, going from brokenness to mental?
Staying open to the possibilities. I can remember I had posted on Facebook when I had found out like my ex, he had moved on a long time ago. Like that was part of the reason why things happened the way they happened. And I remember putting it on Facebook and stuff like that. And at that time, I wasn't really sure if I was ever going to be like ready to like see somebody else. And this young lady, her name was Deara, and she called me and she told me, she said, you know what, Portia, you never know who God is going to send to your life as a part of your healing journey. So stay open and keep an open mind. She's like, you never know when. She said, trust God's timing. And it happened a lot faster than I thought it would happen. Um, but it just kind of reminds me to like put that out there in the universe, like to just to stay open. Like you just never know, and God gets to use somebody to help you along your healing journey. And just kind of be open to it. You never know. You never know.
That's great. That's a great wisdom nugget to drop to the listeners. Being open does shift things. I feel
Hmm.
like sometimes, and you're right, God can put things right in front of you that way. But if you're not open, then you're just blocking Him from blessing you or His
You miss
blessing.
it.
Right? Yeah, you missed your support. I think they talk about the man that was in the water and God sent all the resources to him, but he kept on saying, "I'm waiting on God." Right? Waiting. He's like, "I sent you this person. I sent you that person." I know. I get it. I just had a good conversation with a dear friend too. She's on her faith walk, and like I said, 2022 is our year for those women who are walking their healing journey and open and taking them one step at a time. And
Hmm.
to our listeners and viewers, but she was like, but she didn't like this gentleman she just went on a date with. But then she was like, her ex-husband called and they've been divorced. But I think they're a couple that reconnect. And I was like, girl, I said, cause you only open to your ex-husband. this is what I'm saying. I love her and she listening and she gonna be like, and she got quiet. I said, no, because you didn't go out on the date with the other guy and God sent you this other guy, but she was like, no. But then when the ex-husband called, just like, well, he prayed. And I was like, girl, you're not open. And you really do have to be open to really And I told, and then of course, like we ask God for increase, and that could be redirected to, a new job or opportunity. So we have to know what we're asking for. How are you asking for it? Are you being open to it when it shows up? It's just interesting how the whole thing of being open is so true. It's so good. That's a really good one. And do you have another nugget for us? I love that. Work, being open,
Mm-hmm.
setting boundaries. I'm just reminding the listener. She
Uh-huh.
nuggets. And what do you have any other nuggets for us before we close tonight?
Oh, just love yourself out loud. Like unapologetically love yourself out loud. Like every part of you, even the parts that you don't like, those are the parts that probably need the most attention, the parts that you don't like. And those are the parts that you get the most healing from too. So love yourself out loud and make no apologies for it.
Wow, I love that part because I find myself sometimes just being in that space, like just loving myself out loud and not feeling like I need to apologize for anyone. I had told my mother that in my healing journey, I was telling her that I was like, for so many years, first part of my life, I didn't love myself out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when I think about the RFD talk, I was like, RFD didn't have a voice at the time. And so now she's like, listen, I create this platform so I can talk about this, right? We have complicated situations, but there are simple steps to
Mm-hmm.
keep living out loud, enjoying life, and being in harmony and peace with yourself, right? And I love it. That's those right there. So I find myself just saying, you just live it out loud, you know what I'm saying? You're not caring about what other people think. Sometimes I'm so happy. I forget there's people around me that's mourning. I be forgetting. I be like, because I feel as well. You have mentioned that you can feel. You felt all those comments. You took them in. You took them all. And I have been a feeler for so long. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I can't carry your not happiness anymore, not in this space as much as I did before my healing process.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to carry other people's and be sad for a day or two with their stuff. But now, I do have sympathy and I am empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to live out loud. I had to just do it. As Nike said, just do it.
That's definitely the space I'm in now. It's like I remember those days where like I lost my voice and like I had lost my light and I just kind of like shrunk. It was like he's only okay with me being, this big. So I only be this big. And now I get to, take up as much space as possible. And I have to remind myself that that's okay. And if anybody's uncomfortable with it, then maybe they're not meant to be in my circle, but I can't take on anybody's insecurities anymore. I can't take on your pain. I have my own like type of thing. Like you said, I could be sympathetic, empathetic, but I'm just gonna be happy. I choose happiness.
I love it. I love it being happy. That is really, I believe, we have titles, but I believe that the key thing is who we are is just being happy, like understanding the core who you are, right? Identifying the core who you are. And who you are is the image of, right? Happiness. It's just totally being happy. And I think that's also important. What we've been through in I find that I, when I'm not happy, that's when you get sick or you don't, think, you know what I'm saying? So it's so important
Mhm.
just being happy, living out loud and saying yes to yourself and being okay with that and not really worrying
Mhm.
about what others think about that. So that is really a free place to be. And I think it really gives you the opportunity to be loved by others. I feel like some of the things we learn is, the world treats us to how we treat ourselves.
Oh,
You know,
that's so true.
the world treats us how we treat ourselves. And I think sometimes people be like, oh, the world is so cruel. And people, and I start to listen. I was like, oh, wow, are you treating yourself really mean right now? Sometimes, because I was that person, that was treating myself really mean. And I don't know if people really hear their cry out. for a
Mm-hmm.
coach like you, right? You know, to give you more alignment and more peace and harmony and to enjoy life. I've been hearing the Lord say also, the Lord said to me, you know, we got to maximize your day, you know, every benefit, Robin, today. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, Father, I said, today? He's like, every benefit. Don't let the sun go down without getting every benefit out of your today. And so I was like, you really, you know, raised the bar within me. Now I'm getting up like, what do I do next? How do I love myself more? How do I share this contagious love, you know, and how do I lead other people to find this total harmony within themselves, within
Mm-hmm.
kingdom peace and happiness. Well, I tell you, I've learned a lot. I hope the listeners, if anybody want to call in really quick, we have less than 5 minutes. We'll be wrapping up. If you have any questions for our coach tonight, we'll be wrapping up here in just a second. Well, tell us again how everyone can get in contact with you, Portia, Coach Portia.
Well, I have a website, cupoflovecourses.com. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Cup of Love 7.
Yes, and definitely if you missed that viral TikTok, look at her past because her future is so bright. Her future is so bright. And I say thank you and congratulations for sharing your past experience with us. We'll have to get you to come back so you can share more of your future and how I know it's unfolding, blossoming, and love is showing all in that smile, girl. So I'm over here at RFD Talk. I feel the love. So my queen sister friend, my kindred friend, continue to be that beaming light. Thank
Thank
you.
you. You too.
Thank you so much. So listeners, thank you all for tuning in tonight. I hope that you learned that you're valuable and that you're worth loving and I hope that you're willing to do the work because once you do the work, you'll show up just like this amazing coach here with us at the RFD Talk Show. We want to thank her and all her wisdom that she shared with us on our show tonight. I look forward to seeing each and every and listeners and hearing all of you listeners next week here on the RFD Talk. So I'm Robin F. David, inspiring you to embrace, love, and nurture yourself as you do unto others. Until next week, be blessed, be peaceful, and have a harmony within your life. And just live out loud and bold. All right. I love you guys. Thank you. Have a good night.